Yes, I did. I don't know. You have to be on radio yesterday because it was a copy of the board now. It was working responsive for invitations here.
Good morning, colleagues, fellow backbenchers. I want to welcome you to this training workshop. I'm Martin Henry, the Manager of Projects and Operations in the School of Graduate Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship here. And we welcome our participants from the wider Caribbean. Have we got anybody from the wider Caribbean? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome participants from out of Kingston. Have we got any participants from out of town? Still on town. You're out of town. Welcome. And we want to welcome Kingston-based participants. Have we got many of those? We haven't reached UTech yet, Paul. And finally, I'd like to welcome colleagues here from the University of Technology, who will be an integral part of this training workshop. UTechers, we welcome you as well. This workshop is part of what is now famously labeled in the acronym the RIMI 4AC or the RIMI 4 project. And if you look at the front of your program, you begin to see some ideas laid out for you about the nature of this project. It is concerned with building capacity in research and innovation management across the Caribbean and across Central, Southern, Eastern, and Western Africa. And we are in partnership with some 8 other institutions to strengthen research management capabilities. Under the project, its 4th work package is a training component for building professional capacity in research and innovation management, RIM for short. And today's training workshop is an outgrowth of that work package. You will discover during the course of the next 2 days that there is something called the Caribbean Research and Innovation Management Association, of which you are members even if you didn't know yet. All the AGIs in the Caribbean, plus government research institutions, and the few which are in private enterprise, we are welcoming and introducing to CABRIMA as an association in which research management professionals can find a home and can deal with their common issues across the Caribbean. I'll just hasten to point out that RIM is emerging very strongly as a professional area, which is very distinct from the actual conduct of research itself. In fact, in institutions, research doesn't get very far unless there are managers who can accommodate and facilitate researchers while they do their field and their laboratory work. So in this room are not researchers per se, although some of you might be, but research managers whose role is to support the research process in universities and other facilities. Just a couple of housekeeping matters as we get ready to start. You will notice on your program outline that there is a break at 10:30 and lunch will come up at 12:30. These are usually very vital aspects of training programs, right? So we promise to bring you some food at 10:30 and a proper lunch at 12:30 in this space or in the neighboring space outside. The restrooms, if you haven't discovered them yet, are along the front wall of the building. You follow my hand. Because the past registration, these rooms are labeled with the usual silhouettes of man and woman. You can't miss them. And they're freely available to us as we journey through the day. You might also be very interested to learn that at the end of the training program, you will be certified as research managers, or at least as beginning research managers. So please stay on until 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon for your certificates. And personally, I believe that these will be extraordinarily valuable certificates indicating that you have done some training in research and innovation management, and the Caribbean does in fact have a cadre of persons who have some basic skills in research and innovation management. It's very important to us to capture your contact details. Registration has asked you for name, telephone, and email addresses. Please ensure we have those. We won't send the police after you. These are largely to ensure that we can get material out to you, including some of the trainers' material, which we will circulate at the end of the workshop. We will post them out by email if we have your addresses. To make your 2 days as comfortable and as productive as possible, there are a number of support staff members in the room and just outside who might like you to be quite familiar with. Myself, Martin Henry, Paul Ivey is from the School of Graduate Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship. Paul, I haven't forgotten your name, so raise your hand so folks can see you. Right. Outside the door is our Mrs. Carl Newman Rose, who registered you in the Shorter Street, and we want to facilitate your stay here at UTech as much as possible. If anyone is meeting your registration payment fee by credit card, there is a facility, but unfortunately you have to walk to accounts receivable, and we will do that with you at the break time as necessary. The only thing left for me to do is to introduce our trainer, Dr. Frank Heemsker, who is the head of Research and Innovation Management Services operating out of Belgium, and his role in the project is to handle work package for the professional development work package. Frank is a biomedical scientist in his own right, who has spent quite a number of years in biomedical research between Europe and the United States, and he has now, as many of us have done, switched over into research management. And this company is specifically set up to assist smaller enterprises and universities with their research and innovation management activities. He has a wealth of experience traveling between Africa, Europe, Latin America, and now the Caribbean on similar training programs. Today and tomorrow, we're going to benefit from his expertise. But as usual, I'd like to suggest that Frank is not the only expert in the room. Each of us have enormous expertise in the areas in which we work and in the matters that we manage. And I'm sure he's going to ask us to place our own expertise on the table by way of discussion and sharing. So ladies and gentlemen, if I have missed any key details, I'll come back to later on. But if you just take a look at your program outline, you will see where we're going for today and tomorrow. And we would have circulated these to you in the emails we sent inviting you to the workshop. So this is what we're up to for 2 days. And I expect they're going to be 2 very profitable and productive days. And I'd like you to welcome trainer Frank Heemsker as he starts the workshop this morning.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Martin. It's a pleasure to be back here. I was here last October for a shorter version of this workshop. Now we have expanded this into the full 2 days, and you will be flooded with information. So please bear with me. There will be a wealth of information to be shared with you, but you will get copies of all the presentations and handout material, and also some additional material that I will not present due to time here. So you can spare your hands and don't have to take all the notes, just the notes that are not on the slides, because I also orally will give you some examples that are not on the slides. Without further ado, let's have a look at the agenda. I unwrapped the agenda a bit for you. First of all, can everybody hear me at the back? Yes? If you can't, if I become too tired and my voice is too low, please raise your hand and shout that I should be, because at the end of the day, my voice might become a little bit low. As you can see, in the agenda we have for today, we'll first have a look at what is the funding environment. Where do you get access to funding? How do you get access to funding? And why do you want to go to the trouble to international funding? And then after the coffee break, we'll go a little bit deeper into what is a common proposal structure, and I will use the European Framework 7 as an example. But the principles that I will pass on to you are similar, and you can use them for NIH grants, for Wellcome Trust grants, for any other grants as well. So please bear in mind what I say here is applicable as example from the European Commission as the world's largest research funding program, but the principles are applied much more generally. And then after lunch, we actually go a little bit through the evaluations and look at success factors, because filling in a form for funding, for asking for funding, is much more than filling in the form. It's more to get an idea across and to convince the evaluator that they should invest in you. And this is something that will come back during the 2 days here. How do you convince an evaluator to invest in you? And what do you want to do with that money and with the results of the research? That will come back here in the level of the management, which is dear to many of you. Not only how do you conduct research, also how do you manage the environment around the researchers so that the institute benefits too. And on the second day, we'll focus a little bit on the funding, on the finance, and also on the intellectual property. What do you do with the results? How do you protect your knowledge? How do you protect the best interest of your institute? I hope that Martin will forgive me that I make a change in the agenda. I would like to switch these two elements. First, start in the morning with the finances, and finally close off with the intellectual property. I think logically, in the framework that will tie up better with the first day. The contents will remain the same, of course. And then after lunch, we'll have plenty of time to discuss together how you, as a research manager, can take benefit of this material and develop your own training courses. Because that is the purpose of this project, not only to train you, but to capacitate your office and you and your colleagues so that you can take this material and develop your own training and train your own scientists, your own colleagues. So please keep that in mind as well. Looking at all the material, and that is the reason why I gave much more material than what I will present. For the first presentation, for example, I have 112 slides. That's impossible to present in 1 hour. I will present a good half of those in detail, and I will let you show which information is where for the rest. So you can use it as active, practical material. And then finally, there's time tomorrow afternoon for individual projects. If you have a project, an idea, a proposal, let's see how we can work with that in practice and see what is the next step to get funded. As you may see, I've also included a number of exercises. These are intended for exercises not only to demonstrate you, but you can take them with you and perform them with your scientists too. So I built the exercise in such a way that it's easy for you to conduct them in your offices. Especially here the search, I will give us a demonstration on searches for information and funding opportunities in this presentation before coffee. And after the coffee, you'll have to work. That's the proposal structure, and that will be fun, I'll promise you. So, as Martin kindly presented already some of the background, but for those of you who were not here last October, my background is indeed in science. I have a double degree, biology and medicine. I did a PhD in neuropharmacology, brain research. Worked at the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands, where I was born. Then I moved to NIH. I worked for 7 years at the National Institute of Health in America. I had my own research group, worked like you, scientists with pharmaceutical industry, and negotiated funds to go into the company, into the research lab. And then I moved to Université Pasteur in France, working in France, teaching there as a professor for a number of years, with postdocs in our group. So I was forced to obtain my own grants, help and build the finance of my own research group. I never had a stable position in those 15 years. And then 14 years ago, my wife got a job in Brussels. We decided to move to Belgium, yet again, a mobility issue. With 2 careers, you have to make choices. I got the chance to become a research director in a biotech company. And that was the first time that I moved out of the real lab every day conducting experiments myself into management of a company, sitting on the other side of the table for negotiating with our academic partners. This company was focused on developing drugs for HIV/AIDS, so I came also in contact with problems outside Europe, in Latin America, mostly in Africa. And conducting research in such an environment is different than in a good, well-equipped lab in Europe. So I was responsible there as VP for business development for all the contracts with academic partners, all the public grants that we got in the company, and to expand the company. So at the strategy level of the executive management, I was involved there, very much in mergers and multiple private investments to grow the company. That's a completely different world than the academic world. So although I do not have an MBA, I learned in practice how you grow a company. We sold the company for 500 million to Johnson & Johnson, 500 million euros. And I stepped out, and 9 years ago I started this company. This was around the time when I was also president of the European Association of Research Managers. Just like Katrina here, we have a European Association of Research Managers and Research Management Offices all over Europe. And I was president for 4 years of that association. So I can share with you the experiences, how to lead an association, what can you do in an association, how can you help each other in an association. And I hope we can have that discussion tomorrow. Given this background, I also was one of the founders of an association of tech transfer offices in Europe, Proton Europe. So both the research management, building research and knowledge and new research results, and the technology transfer, what do you do with the results and how do you transfer them to industry. That's exactly what the company is doing as well. And the training I deliver here is just a result, it's not our core business. But we do this in the framework of RIMI for the C project, just like we are involved in a number of other projects, which I will tell you about the flyers that are here on the table. We are involved as any other partner in European projects, and we go through the same struggle as you would, the competitive grant writing and obtaining and negotiating grants ourselves. And we have therefore built up a network globally of 2,800 organizations around us through working with these European grants. So what I tell our customers, I also apply to my own company. Use the grants and European funding projects to expand your network, to do larger things than you can do alone. If I would have stayed in my own little group, we would have just been less than 10 people, that's it. Now we're well connected and I'm here because of, thanks to the European grants. So any small group can actually grow if you have a strategy and if you work with partners together. And that is one other core message I would like to give you. If you want to achieve meaningful and big things, you have to open up and share your knowledge with others and join forces together. And then you have a bigger critical mass and achieve things that you could never do alone. That is something I do in every day. Well, how do we go about that? Let's focus on the first presentation. Understanding the funding environment a little bit, what kind of programs are out there, why do you want to go to the hustle of international funding if it would be so easier to go for national funding? Now here in the Caribbean it might be different, but if I talk this workshop in South Africa or in Tanzania or in Nigeria, you see, no, we have our national grants. We know how to fill in the forms, that's easy, let's do that, stick to it. And I'll tell you why that may be a mistake, to limit yourself to only national funding. Regardless of whether there is money or not, that's a different question. And then we'll go briefly through the information sources that are available and show you how you can get much more information free from your laptop here. Before chasing money by immediately going into the databases and look for calls, aha, there's a call, there's money available, let's write a project. That's what most scientists do, no? They immediately go to the funding calls and then start writing. I would rather like you to propose, first ask yourself, what do you want to get out of this? Why do you want to go to this project? What do you want to achieve in the project? What are your objectives? Maybe you feed a pipeline with new products, if you're a company. Same applies to you as an academic institute. Your products are new publications, new knowledge, perhaps a patent, new students delivered. Those are your products. Diversify your portfolio that could be translated in an academic setting as diversify your research lines. If you're doing one search of research and you partner together with others, maybe you can do other research that is much more interesting and expand the way you do conduct research in your lab. Enter new markets. Could be you enter into collaboration with a French or a German team and you can send students to them, or you yourself can visit an institute. So markets is indeed here the access to the knowledge as you as a scientist. And enhanced visibility for you as a scientist, but also for the institute. If you get access to international funding, your visibility enormously increases, and your partners can tell others about your assets, about your capacity to do research, and how fun it is to collaborate with you. There are also things that people forget. If they limit themselves to the national funding, to the easy things they're familiar with, to remain comfortable in their own closed environment, they may end up with losing their competitive advantage. To be at the front line, to publish in Nature and Science, you have to have all the elements in place and constantly renew. Science is about discovering something new. If you don't discover something new anymore, you don't have a competitive advantage as a scientist. Right? So this may be a term that is used in enterprises, but think of it as a scientist, that you have to fight for your position too, in the same way, with very similar approach. That means you may lose key knowledge if you don't constantly renew knowledge. Now you can do that alone by sitting behind a computer, but it's far more effective if you do that in a group with other scientists and you share that immediately. You share quicker and you get more new knowledge quicker that way. Far more important is this one. If you don't renew your environment with new equipment, new people, new research lines, you may lose your key expert. And that is really critical. If your key scientist all of a sudden says, well, yes, but I get much better facilities if I work at the University of Houston or Université Montpellier in France. If you lose him or her, then your whole lab really suffers. So to do this, it's important to keep your key experts, or better, even invite key experts into your group and grow. So there are a number of strategic reasons to go for international funding and partnering. And not collaborating internationally may limit yourself seriously in the long term. Now, I never said that it's easy to get European or international funding. There are some challenges, because first of all, you need to get out of your own discipline. Many universities and scientists are trained or focused on one discipline, and they're super specialists in their own discipline. But if you want to partner internationally, you have to collaborate with other disciplines to together attack a problem. And I will come back to this several times during the day. The best way to get international funding is to focus on a problem in a multidisciplinary way. This is also the key message, how to find partners. You find partners that complement your expertise. Like the different ingredients in a cake. You have the flour, somebody else has the milk, somebody else has the eggs, and together you can make the cake. So it's not about finding another scientist in your own discipline and then do science together. No, it's about finding scientists in other disciplines and to attack a problem together. That is how you get international funding. Now, this requires cross-border funding, which is usually not available from your national agencies. So you have to find international agencies who supply international project funding. Of course, there are challenges at the language. Not everybody speaks English. Like, I'm not fluent in English. It's not my mother tongue. Oh, you're pretty good. I still make a lot of mistakes. let alone my French. I work in French too, I live in Brussels, I deliver this workshop in French too, but I'm not fluent. I can speak a little bit of Spanish and German, but that helps to open doors. It's not just the English. If I speak English, I might have a different meaning of the words that I use than your interpretation of those words. So even if we speak the same language, there are cultural differences and assumptions below the language that are even more important, and I will come back to that in the afternoon. Cultural differences are key in successful management of projects. And on the complexity with quality, I will deal with that in the afternoon as well. Fortunately, there is a good practice that I can share with you from people who have been successful in these fields, so it's not that you're completely alone there. Why would Europe actually invest in you? That's an important question to convince your evaluators that a European funding agency or a US or a Canadian funding agency finds it interesting to send money to you. Well, the reasons are these. Science is global competition, but it's also attacking global problems. The competition is global and the challenges are common global. Think of the big challenges that we all face. Health, aging, infectious diseases, poverty, hunger, lack of water, agriculture in dry areas, energy problems, sustainable energy problems, not just pumping oil out of the ground, but really sustainable energy solutions, and access to internet and information. There are a number of others, but there are really global challenges that are common and shared. And solutions you may have here of very specific plants, very specific agricultural principles, a wonderful idea for a software program that can actually be part of the solution for Europe. So that is the reason why Europe indeed is willing to share knowledge and share money to find solutions that can be evolved anywhere. To give you a practical example, in Tanzania there was a group working on agriculture in very arid conditions. And they are collaborating with the Spanish group who faced the same problem in Spain. Now with the Spanish money we were able to test out fields in Tanzania for plants that eventually may be imported into Spain so that they're more resistant to water stress. And that is a solution that is good for Spain and it's also good for Tanzania. So that is what I mean with science. Focusing global problems and acting local, but think of the global strategy behind. Local assets and environments are unique. You may have here plants or solutions, but nobody else has. You may have specific knowledge about epidemiology, about specific topics in physics or in other scientific areas that nobody else is a specialist in. And that, the databases, those assets you can offer. So don't think only of receiving money, but also what can you offer to scientists abroad. And that should be the basis for international collaboration on an equal basis, on equal terms. We're not talking about development aid, we're talking about science collaboration as equal partners. And that is very important to realize too. You're being judged on an equal basis with European scientists. Now, of course, there has to be some European dimension. If European taxpayers' money is sent to here, there should be part of the benefits also to Europe. It's not either or, but that should be end-to-end. Benefit here and benefit European scientists. It should be goal-oriented. It's always project-based funding. We are not talking about development aid and programs for long-term. We're talking about projects with very, very definite objectives. I'll come back to that. Unfortunately, now the international cooperation programs are very open. In Europe, there are no restrictions for Jamaican or Caribbean scientists to collaborate. So, as a summary here, international networks can give you new ideas and new applications of knowledge. By working together with others, you reach a critical mass where you can together attack something that is more important, and the more important problems attract more significant funding. And don't forget, the motivation to collaborate can be a real driver. And I'll come back to that in the afternoon again. But the driver to collaborate is not only the discovery of the science, but also which partners work well together, their cultural differences or similarities. Now the bigger picture of the European funding program, FP7, as I said, is the largest funding program for research in the world. 55 billion euro over 7 years. It's really, really a lot of money. Now, what Europe would like to achieve with that is this, and this triangle will come back several times during the workshop. Universities have a role in education, research institutes have a role in research, and what Europe would like to see is that this is turned into innovation. Innovation of products, but also innovation of services and processes and methodologies. Now, how can universities, research institutes and businesses work effectively together? Simply if they have the same strategy. They may get out of the pie different elements of value. And the industry partner gets something they can sell. The research institute gets out of the project something that delivers more and new research funding. And the university gets some value out of the research project by learning new knowledge they can transfer to their students or improve their education. So there's value coming out. And for the government, who is actually paying for this, they see jobs and growth. Not just economic growth, but social economic growth. And that is really what the background documentation that you will see on the internet is about. How do we build a sustainable society with all the different elements that are supporting socio-economic growth? Although I'm working in business, I realize you cannot do the business without a good social and sustainable environment. And this is where the collaboration comes in. We can't do this alone. Businesses cannot solve problems alone either. So I use the word value, and for businesses it's interesting to participate in these programs, not because of the money, but because of the value coming out. And that's a very different thing. The money follows the value, not the other way around. So SMEs, the small medium enterprises, they may drive the innovation, but they need your help. As in academia, you have the knowledge that where they can renew their products. You will see the role of SMEs in these programs is very pronounced. It's really important that SMEs are partnered with academic institutes to jointly develop something new. So you will see that most of the calls actually allow for a heavy participation of SMEs. That opens a possibility for you to transfer your knowledge to SMEs, but it also gives you a challenge. How do you do that? How do you do this in practice? And I will cover that in the afternoon and tomorrow also. What is good practice? What are good, simple approaches for knowledge transfer and working together with SMEs? Looking at the FP7 project, the program, that 55 billion euro is divided in a cooperation part, which is really about collaborative projects. Research in collaboration with industry on the problem, focus on the problem. But there is more. You can also focus on the People's Program, which is really about sending out scientists and sharing knowledge by sending out people. Right? You move the knowledge by moving the brains. Now this is a very good program to start, because the success factors, success rates to get funding are much higher, so it's easier to get funding there, and they're completely free and theoretic teams. You can focus on sending out and transferring the knowledge by inviting scientists to here or sending scientists over to Europe. It's very effective. And then on the capacities, I will show you that there is a sub-program that is specifically focused on international collaboration between Europe and abroad. The other programs you can sort of forget, because this is nuclear research and these are European programs only. Also the IDs program is for European scientists only. So from you here, you should focus on the red and the purple and what is it? The brown and the purple programs. Looking at the total breakdown, you see that by far the largest amount of money, 32+ billion euro, is actually going into the collaborative projects. These are smaller but also very big projects, and they can run up to 20-30 million euro for the largest ones. Fortunately, within there are also smaller programs for small projects. And small, I mean, $1 million or less. Still significant money. That cooperation program is divided in 10 themes. So this is the strategy of Europe. We want to invest 32 billion euro in these 10 key areas. And I'm sure your government has some key areas they would like to focus on too. So if you find yourself in one of those areas, please read the work program in detail and to see exactly where there is a call line that fits exactly what you could offer. One important remark here, please do not focus yourself only on one theme. If you're a health researcher working with health databases, for example, epidemiological data from patients, you might find additional calls under the ICT program that also pay for databases and improvement of communication across different databases and different organizations. So you might find more than one place where you can find funding for what you would like to do. In the same vein, if you're working on agriculture, finding new plants for food, obviously you start reading this one. But if your specialty is genomic analysis of these plants, your genomic analysis facility might serve very well under health. They might use your, for example, for safety, food safety. If you assess the origin of your plants that will land on your plate, from farm to fork, the tracing element of food is very important in Europe. Now, if you have a genetic way of tracing your food, then that might help with food safety and processes. Also, under nanomaterials and production technologies, the process itself of producing food from the farm all the way to the fork is a industrial process, and you might find money for that. So think of out of the box and read each of these programs, because there might be more overlap than you think. Relating to energy and environment, biomass conversion for sustainable energy, local solutions for sustainable energy, that relates to biotechnology, agriculture, and energy. There's another overlap. Culturing plants in arid areas relates not only to energy and agriculture, but also to the environment. How do you choose which crop grows in which area? And it relates to water management and policy issues. Policy issues you'll also find on the social sciences and humanities. So there's a lot of crossover in these programs, and I will demonstrate one or two programs because I have them in the work package that I hand over to you. The actual programs of the new calls that will be published next month. I have already the drafts with me. They have not been published and released yet from the European Commission. But since I'm in Brussels, I can share that with you. Under the capacities program, you will have calls that are focused on research infrastructures that are mostly research infrastructures in Europe. So this is not paying for buildings here, but there is also a line about research for the benefit of SMEs. And I will give you an example of such a project there. You as a knowledge institute can help SMEs to solve problems that they cannot solve themselves because they don't have an R&D facility. You have the R&D facility. So in these programs you can help a group of SMEs to solve a common problem. And again, I will give an example to explain. And above all this one is really interesting. Activities of international collaboration, those are programs that are specifically focused on problems outside Europe. So they pay for problems in Africa, problems in the Caribbean, in Latin America, problems like infectious diseases like SARS we had a few years ago in Southeast Asia, like HIV, co-infections with tuberculosis in Africa, those kind of things we will find here. You will find also there calls for training capacity at universities, like the RAC, similar projects like that, networking and conferences are paid out of this sub-program. So please have a look at them under the capacities program. And then finally the people's program, as I said, the people's program is by exchange, staff exchange, people exchange. It's not limited to scientists. This program actually is open to research managers too. So, and that is recent, only in the last 1.5 years, they have opened up the description. Anybody facilitating the research, including the scientists and the research managers, administrators, are allowed to exchange. So that is a new way. And especially the ERSIS program is for international exchange from outside Europe to Europe, or from Europe to outside Europe, including the Caribbean. So the COFOUND and ERSIS are two new programs that are very interesting to have a look at. But in general, anyone who is outside Europe can apply for the ones that are marked here with an asterisk.
All these are posted on the EU website.
Yes, and I will show you where in a minute. I'll zip through the next couple of slides because they're just as a background information for you, but so that you know that I've copied in a few slides from the European Commission, the Marie Curie People's Unit, and they have explained here a little bit more of the background of the structure of the program, and you can share that with your scientists. Please be aware that the goal of that mobility program is the mobility, to move the people, not to do the science. Of course, the core of the problem is to do common science, but the core is to move people to learn from working in a different environment. And mobility in this case is focused on moving their careers. A young scientist who works in a French lab for 2 years, then comes back, has the experience of working in a French environment, working in a French top lab, and seeing how results are being discovered there. But they also have access to the network of the French lab. And when they come back, they take that network with them. And I will give you 1 or 2 examples of the project, how that can benefit too. So it's more than the publications they get out, but also the environment they learn and the network they build and they take along with it. So it's not just geographical, but also sectorial mobility. Working from one discipline in a completely different discipline, or even working from academia and moving to industry and back. There are several different types of fellowships, and this is the only program under the Framework 7 program where you have individual grants. So one single scientist can actually apply, or an institute can apply for a group of scientists. Both possibilities are there. Fellowships are related to individual ones, and the networks and the integration grants are for groups of scientists. So you can set up, and these are the links, you can set up with 2 or 3 universities a small network, and then exchange a group of scientists in different disciplines and faculties. That's entirely possible. You can read this yourself later. Now, next I would like to show you a little bit on what the work program actually looks like. And this is the website here. This is the website where you can find all that information. So please allow me to sit here for a second. I'll do a little demonstration online. If you go online, this is what it will look like. And I find this, of course you can write down the whole URL, but if you type in FP7 and find a call, find a call, FP7 find a call, you will find this website immediately. Now this is the one website where all the information about all calls are focused. And you will find on the find a call here all calls that are open at this moment in time. And they're also, under the different programs, the calls are repeated in a subcategory. So that facilitates you to focus on certain elements and forget about programs that are more nuclear, that are not relevant for you. There's much more on this website, which I will show you in a minute, but just let me on here. If you go down, you will see that there have been a few new goals published in April. These are under the capacities and the cooperation program, and I don't know these by heart, but let's take one further down. Here is one of the people's program. You see the color code. If you click on one of those, let's click on this one, you see that the deadline, no, that's the publication date. The deadline will be demonstrated underneath here. You go down and you have all the information that is necessary for this particular goal is lumped together. You have the information package, the electronic submission facility, and that is how proposals are uploaded electronically. You don't send any paper documents to Brussels. Everything is electronic in Brussels, so that helps. Additional documentation, and everywhere there's always a support office. Now this particular call for reintegration grants and career development was published in March. The total budget to be distributed to the different projects is 40 million euro, and the deadline is in August. You see the deadline 500 Brussels time. It's an electronic system, and it shuts down at 5 o'clock Brussels time. Given the time difference, please be aware of the deadline. It's brutal. I mean, end of story. I've seen so many projects failing because they were too late to upload.
We just still want to the welcome trust in the UK. 5 p.m. British time, not 5:01.
Exactly, and especially with the time difference, it can be a challenge. So that I'll come back to that, how to organize yourself a bit up front. You go down and you see the information package, and in the information package you have the actual call fiche, which tells you a little bit more detail about the deadlines and the available calls. But this is more important, and that is the work program itself. And that describes what they expect from you, why you want to invest in you, and what they want to get in. And then there is the guide for applicants, the common and the specific part. This is the guideline how to fill in the forms. So the forms and the explanation on how to fill in the forms are all in this guide. And now finally there's some background information. Now please be aware that the work program and the guide for applicants, the forms, are specific to the call. So don't mix this guide with a guide for applicants for another call, because there will be other details and the forms will look slightly different. So what I usually do is just tick these boxes, download them in a special folder, and I save that folder as this is the folder for the IOF mobility. And if I go for another call, I make it a different folder. The guide for applicants is pretty detailed. They really explain the individual words, the technical jargon, what there are links in there. So the things that are explained in the guide for applicants, I will not explain here. There's no use in explaining something you can read yourself, as long as you know that it's out there. It's more important to tell you how to search for the right call, how to select, how to make up your plan and build your proposal structure in such a way that it's convincing for the evaluators. I've been evaluating for the European Commission since the last 12 years. Every year I do evaluations together with other evaluators, and I can share that with you. How an evaluator thinks. This is something that is not written, and that's why I'm here, to tell you things that are not out on the internet. Now, you will see that in the work programs here, there's a lot of background information, what they would like to achieve. And mobility program is only one of the programs that help with career development. So they explain already in the first part that initial training of researchers can also be done through the lifelong learning program, the Leonardo da Vinci program, the Grunfeld program, the Erasmus program for students. There are a number of these programs that have slightly overlapping objectives. The mobility program here is really focused on young scientists who have their degree, a post-degree. And it can be young scientists with less than 4 to 10 years of experience, or it can be experienced scientists like yourself with more than 10, 15 years of experience. And those are two categories, and they get two different rates of salary. Well, you can read this yourself, but you will see that it's quite an extensive list. There is a special sub-program between industry and academia. The international dimension, which is relevant